Hello, folks. Welcome back to the Britt West Hancock Kanawha podcast. This is episode 41, and I have a lot of people on with me tonight. I have members of the 2011 and 2012 girls state basketball team. So, thanks for coming on with me, ladies. I appreciate it, and this should be a fun one. Before we get to these six ladies, hopefully, possibly seven, we have another one going to hop on. I just want to remind everyone that I do this podcast to raise money for the Sanger Legacy Fund, and then so people can tell their stories and reminisce. I'm pumped to say that we have 17 sponsors for tonight's podcast, so thanks to all those sponsors. So like I always say, there's a few extra minutes where I'll be plugging those sponsors, getting them the advertising that they paid for. Sponsors for tonight, I have the Britt Car, Truck, Bike, and Tractor Night Cruise, Ewing Funeral Home and Monument Company, Jay Hiscox of State Farm Insurance, Daniels Auto Collision, Nick Schmidt, Kelly Real Estate, Sidetrack Lanes, Wilson's Diner, Britt Food Center, Levi Dunn Trucking, Miller and Sons Golf Cars, the Britt Vet Clinic, the World with Nate Podcasts, the Original Saw, Mary Joe's Hobo House, First State Bank, and the West Hancock Hall of Fame. All right, I'm gonna do some spring sports updates quick. The boys' golf season ended this last week at sectionals at Rice Lake and Lake Mills. The boys finished 7th out of 7 teams. Zach Bukema, though, was only one shot away from qualifying for districts. He shot an 88, needed an 87 to move on. There was no girls' golf team this season based on varsity bound. Boys and girls track. State track starts tomorrow through Saturday. On the boys' side, Mitchell Smith made it in the 110 high hurdles. The 4x1 team of Jackson Peterson, Evan Ford, Kellen Smith, and David Smith made it to state. The 4x4 team also made it with Jackson, Evan, Braden Walk, and Kellen. The shuttle hurdle team of Ford, Matthew Francis, Braden Walk, and Mitchell Smith made it. And then I also wanted to shout out the 8th grade boys team. They won the conference championship just the other night. And the girls track team, Coach Mark Sanger goes into his last season as the girls track coach. He qualified 2 events. That's the 4x2. Shelby Goepel, Mallory Lear, Paige Coogee, and Cameron Eccles are on that 4x2 team. And then Quinn Harley also made it in the long jump. Make sure you go to sangerstrong.com to give to the Sanger Legacy Fund. Like I said, one of the sponsors tonight is the West Hancock Hall of Fame. It's a brand new deal. We are, as the Sanger Legacy Fund board members, contributing financially to the Hall of Fame, and some of the members are on that board as well. So make sure you go to sangerstrong.com to contribute to the fund. And if you want to automate your giving, you can do that as well. All right, 10 episodes ago on the podcast, episode 31, I talked to Gene Guenther. 20 episodes ago on episode 21, I talked to Ann Hagen. 30 episodes ago, episode 11, Stacey and Seth Goepel. I wanted to shout out Stacey Goepel. He's leaving West Hancock for a different job. I want to thank him for his years of service to the school. And then 40 episodes ago on episode 1 was Kevin Sanger. All right, I'm going to get to 4 of my sponsors, and then we're going to get rolling with some introductions here. All right, thanks to the Britt Car, Truck, Bike, and Tractor Night Cruise for sponsoring over 30 episodes of the podcast. Jared Wingert and company run these great events. They'll take place on July 30th, August 17th, and September 21st, all on Wednesday nights. He also owns Mojo Productions and has lived in Britt for over 15 years now. The 5th annual event has free kids activities. Trophies are presented for all categories, and a $1,000 award is given out at each show. You can't beat free admission and great food and drink from Britt vendors only. So check out BrittCarCruise.com. They have a nice video on there that gives some more details. Michael and Brienne Ewing of Ewing Funeral Home. They have locations in Britt, Kanawha, Clarion, Belmont, and Dow's. Mike is a 1998 graduate of West Hancock, and his family has been privileged to care for the communities of Britt and Kanawha since 1977. You can find them online at ewingfh.com or on Facebook. Call them at 843-3839 or 762-3211. That's Ewing Funeral Home and Monument Company. And thanks to them for sponsoring every episode I've done. Head up to Wilson's Diner at 441 Main Avenue North in Britt for breakfast, lunch, and supper. They're closed on Tuesdays, but they're open every other day of the week. Make sure you jump on their Facebook page for which days and what times they're open and their specials. Call Wilson's Diner at 843-0550. That's Wilson's Diner. They have great food at great prices, and they look forward to serving you. Then last sponsor here before we get into it is the Britt Food Center. They're a locally owned, family-operated hometown grocery store in Britt. They offer fresh produce, fresh cut meat, fresh bakery and homemade deli items. They're working hard to meet the needs and requests of their community. Britt Food Center is a proud supporter of West Hancock schools. They're open 7 days a week from 8 to 8, except on Sunday, they're open 8 to 6. Check them out at brittfoodcenter.com. Follow them on Facebook for their deals and specials. Call them at 843-4429. That's the Britt Food Center. All right, enough of me talking. Let's do some introductions. Let's just go around, tell everybody who you are, especially if you have a different last name or your last name's not on there, and so people know who you are. Let's start with whoever. Just tell them who you are, where you're from now, and job, kids, family, all that good stuff. Kelly, do you want to start?
Okay, sorry. I'm backing up before the national anthem starts.
Oh, sorry. Well, we can go with someone else. Yeah, she's at a baseball game tonight. So maybe Sarah, you go ahead and start. Kelly will get through the anthem first.
All right. Yeah, I'm Sarah Hoddle, formerly, I guess, Sarah Mallon. And I live in Southern Iowa, New Virginia, actually. I have 2 girls, 3 and 1. I stay at home with them, and my husband works at the local vet clinic. And yeah, we live on a farm in the middle of nowhere, and that's pretty much it.
Yep. I-35, that's right.
Yep.
We're saying her neighbor kid is one of my students in 4th grade for a few more days. So yep. How about we'll go right to the sister, Anna.
Yeah, Anna Mallon. I am living in Grimes right now, working in Des Moines. I'm an attorney, work at a private firm downtown, and got married in 2020 during the height of COVID. My husband's name is Will Jansen. He is a special ed teacher at Dallas Center Grimes. So we're just loving Des Moines, and yeah.
Nice. Kaylee, we'll kind of go counterclockwise in the bottom and end in the middle, maybe.
Kaylee Squire, formerly Kaylee Weiland. Currently live in Woden, Iowa, kind of downgraded towns as far as size, all of maybe 200 people in here. Currently working at Mayo Clinic in Rochester as a nurse, and I have a daughter, she's 2. I suppose my husband, Corey Squire, he works for Hancock County, and we're just hanging out in Woden, Iowa.
Yes. I think my brother still owns half of the houses in that town. So
oh yeah, that's right. He does.
Trips to Woden and like sell
Yes.
those houses, man. Get rid of them.
We see him somewhat frequently.
Yeah, I'm sure if something breaks, he's there. So how about you, Anna?
Hi, yeah, Anna Ekoff, previously Anna Bruns. My husband and I live between Britt and Kanawha, married to Johnny, high school sweethearts, got that plug in there. We have 2 kids, Lucy's 2, and then Callan is 9 months. I work at West Hancock, actually in the elementary, and I'm a special ed teacher there. So yeah.
We'll go to Brooklyn, give Kelly a little more time to get through the anthem, maybe.
Okay, I'm Brooklyn Christians, formerly Brooklyn Savoy. We live south of Kanawha. We bought my in-laws house in 2018. I'm married to Josh Christians. I work at Clarion Goldfield Dows as a kindergarten teacher. We have a son, Lincoln, he's 1, and Josh farms with his dad and does cattle.
Nice. All right, Kelly, is the anthem over?
Yeah, we're good. Okay, so I'm Kelly Drury. Used to be Kelly Schmidt. We live in now Iowa Falls, Iowa. My husband Daniel and I own an automotive and diesel repair shop. And then I just purchased and started a business. We put a semi over the road also. And then I coach middle school basketball. We have 1 daughter together. She's 2. Well, she just turned 3, sorry. Bristol. And then I have 3 stepkids, 14, 13, and 7. So
oh boy, keep you busy.
Yeah.
I was like, you said you're at a high school baseball game. Like either you're really dedicated to the program or you have
no, he's a freshman and he starts varsity. So
oh wow.
Yeah.
Nice. Congrats. All right. Well, let's jump into basketball. That's what this podcast is about your couple years that you guys went to state, but I kind of like to start with the leading up to that. So you're not all in the same graduating classes, but overall you all played together. When did you guys start playing together? Was it like the third and fourth grade type leagues? Did you do some AAU ball? Kind of talk about your experiences growing up, leading up to high school.
Well, I can speak for Kelly and I,
Yeah.
because we are in the same class. I think we started, was it fourth grade?
I think so. Yeah.
We were never in AAU, but we had a team. I think there was like 8 of us on the team. We traveled around. It wasn't AAU, but that's kind of when our group started playing together. And then I don't know about you guys.
I think, did we start third or fourth grade tournaments?
I thought it was 5th.
I thought it was fourth.
I think we might have started tournaments in fourth, but we might have started like practices in third.
Yeah, my mom and Kaylee's mom coached us since fourth or sometime grade.
Yeah, whatever. I just remember I didn't come to public school till 5th grade, so I wouldn't have been there third and fourth. Maybe you guys played together, but I wasn't there until 5th grade.
Yeah, but we played a long time together.
So you Mellons, you were KCS All-Stars. I forgot about that.
Yeah,
That was
fourth grade.
Oh man, yeah, the big deal. Be on that Hall of Fame list. That was a nice little school over there. So Coach Sonius took over West Hancock girls basketball in 2007. So according to my math, you would have been in middle school or freshman at that point. Do you guys remember when Sonius took over the program, what that was like, the change from one coach to him? And we know Paul, he's still there. He's a pretty intense dude. So was there a major change that you guys remember from back then?
The only thing I really remember is that he obviously started teaching, I think, at the same time. And so he was our teacher in middle school. And so I think from that, he was talking to us about like the future of basketball and things like that. So that's what I remember about him taking over, was like, we had the high school basketball coach in our school every day and just had more, like he was coming to, I think he like came to a few of our games maybe, or just was like more involved, I think, than most.
Were we in 8th grade when he started? Or
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
we were.
Yeah, it was 8th grade.
Because we had him 1 year in science.
Because I
That's
thankfully
what I
we only had to
thought,
do
okay.
1 year of the science fair.
Yeah.
We definitely had to do.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that's right. Okay, yeah, so we were in 8th grade. So yeah, I would say same thing, like we got to know him in the classroom, which made it a little bit easier, but yeah.
Yeah, I couldn't remember even who the coach was before him. And then if you guys had any experiences like going to games or knowing what the program was like, and then kind of a drastic change, or it was probably at that stage where it was more just he was your teacher, you're gonna play basketball for him type of thing more than anything. Yeah. And then so that 2007-8 season, Coach Sonius went 12-11, and then the next year, 2008-2009, a few of you got to play in some varsity games as youngsters. You guys improved from 12-11 to 13-9. What do you guys remember about that first? And this doesn't have to be that season, just any of those, whichever season it was. What do you guys remember about that first varsity experience? Because I remember mine as a sophomore. He threw me into the game, Coach Drake, and I was like, holy crap, I can't keep up with these guys. It was fast. Is that kind of what you guys remember? It just being a whole different world out there?
Yeah,
Or was I just slow and out of it? I don't know.
I remember we started to press, so that was a big thing, and that was a big change going from 8th grade or middle school, whatever. And so it was a faster pace. The girls were more intense, bigger. So yeah, it was a change. Like you knew you were at a varsity level and you had to step up your game at that point.
And I remember like I had to split for a couple, like I played half a game JV, half a game varsity, and that was awful. It was just 2 different paces. So it was really hard to play like a little bit one place and a little bit the other place because they're so different.
Yeah, it's fast. Just the speed alone is what I always remember. Same with football and basketball. It was just like, wow, this is another level. So anyone else want to add to that? Anything that you can remember about those first varsity experiences? Did you guys know at that point, like we could be pretty good a year or so down the road?
Yeah, I feel like that was kind of the mindset too, even with Kaylee and Brooklyn's moms, like coaching us, they kind of like instilled that in us a little bit, that like because we would win like every single tournament when we were playing. And so I think like going from that and then just going straight into high school all together into sports, we just already had the mindset of like, we're going to win. I don't know. That's how I felt anyways.
We played so much together for so long that I knew where Sarah was going to be. I knew where Anna and Kaylee were going to be. Like, you didn't have to think when you were playing together. So I think that was what made us so successful.
Definitely.
And I think from our perspective, and Kelly, you can comment on this too, but obviously we were a year younger, and I think there was a lot of excitement because our team was also winning. I don't think that we had like the depth of talent that like your guys' class had, but we worked really well together, and same thing, like we always knew where we were at. And I think it was just a really exciting, like when these two groups can mesh together and we can get some playing time together and know how each other play, it'll be I just remember always knowing, like, I think this is going to be a pretty special team when we can all get playing together.
Yeah, I thought our like morale as a team was just great. Like I've played on and playing on teams just wasn't the same like the way we played like in high school, like just knowing where everybody was and the flow and the tempo that we set together was just, it was crazy. Like I haven't played with people since then like that. So it was kind of cool to be able to be a part of something like that.
Right. And I remember
go ahead, Sarah.
No, you can go ahead.
I said, speaking of morale, I don't know if we want to give away our secret, but we all ate like a pot of spaghetti before each game.
And raw brownies.
Oh yeah.
We went to Sarah and Anna's house and had spaghetti before each home game. I don't know how we ran up and down the court, but I guess
I have like actually put some serious thought into how we did that. Like, I don't know how we didn't throw up at every game.
And
if I eat pasta now, I have to go to bed. Like,
yeah.
Good times. Well, we're going to get to some sponsors here, let you guys catch your breath, and then we're going to talk about your main varsity seasons and going to state. Miller and Sons Golf Cars in Britt is family-owned operation with over 50 years of business experience. Skip and Jim Miller worked together with their dad Monty until his passing in 1996. Associated with Easy Go, Miller and Sons now calls on over 1,000 golf cars in 3 states. Companies and courses are always extremely happy with their products, service, and honesty. This has resulted in double-digit growth each passing year. Based in Britt, Miller and Sons employs 18 full-time employees and 3 part-timers. The next generation is being trained as we speak to ensure long-term stability. For more information, contact them at 843-4132. Email them at customerservice@millergolfcars.com. Visit them online at millergolfcars.com. That's Miller and Sons Golf Cars. The Original Saw Company, where your former assistant coach, Mr. Wilson, works. Original Saw Company is the leader in American-made radial arm saws, crosscut power saws, and beam saws. They also offer accessories such as extension tables, measuring and clamping systems, dust shrouds, and miter saw stands. Original Saw's product line includes items for both the hobby woodworker and complex automated industrial settings. Their sister company, Williams and Hussey Machine and Tool, manufactures and sells molders and accessories for making custom and stock moldings and trim. Original Saw provides, through Jones Machinery, a preventative maintenance and repair service of wood and metalworking machinery throughout the Midwest. Want to know more about the Original Saw Company? Check them out at originalsaw.com. And then the J. Hiscock State Farm Team in Britt is a proud supporter of West Hancock and the Sanger Legacy Fund. They can help you with all your insurance needs, including auto, home, life, farm, business, and renters insurance. For a free quote or review, give Jay or Lindsay a call at 843-3563. And I just want to thank Jay. He just hopped on and sponsored 25 more episodes. So guess I got to keep doing these for quite a while. And I want to thank Nick Schmidt for sponsoring tonight's episode. Nick is a 2000 West Hancock grad, and he wanted to just simply give back to the Sanger Legacy Fund by sponsoring. So thanks to Nick. All right, 2009-2010 season is when the program and Coach Sony, so they really start getting things turned around. You guys went 16-7 and finished second in the North Iowa Conference, which I like saying North Iowa Conference because it's no longer that anymore. It's the top of Iowa, which I just struggle with. But anywho, Newman won the conference that year. We lost to them 57-49. Osage, I had in my notes, was kind of previously the team to beat in the conference, and you guys jumped them, beat them by 1 and by 2 points that season. And another game that stood out to me was the Forest City game, 68-31, kind of took it to Forest City, which, isn't a real common thing. Forest City is usually pretty good. What do you guys remember about that 2009-2010 season?
So that was sophomore year, right?
Yeah.
Yes. Yep.
So that was like Morgan Reuter, Cassie Sonius. Those were the upper class. They were the seniors. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because a lot of you guys had pretty significant roles on that team, correct?
I feel like that was the year I kind of first really started getting to play in varsity games. Like I think freshman year towards the end of the season, I got to get in a little bit towards the end, maybe, that I can even remember. But playing with those girls was a lot of fun. Yeah, some really close games, especially with Osage. Both the Osage games that year were so close.
Kaylee, didn't you make that 3 at the end that year?
Yeah.
That really crappy bank shot.
Yeah, that was supposed to be your shot. That was supposed to be yours.
I know, I got scared and gave it to you. You can live in the glory for all the years to come.
Yeah,
I do remember winning that game and going in the locker room, and we were all just freaking out, and it was a really cool win.
Well, both those games were so close.
Oh yeah.
Well, I remember the second one. I can't remember. Well, whichever one came first or second, but the one at Osage, we went into overtime.
Yes.
Because Cassie had a last second underneath shot to go into overtime, and we ended up winning that one too. That year was just insane for how we beat both Osage twice and then Forest City by that much.
Yeah, 68-31. So that's pretty rare with a Forest City team.
Yeah.
Top of the conference. Playoffs. You guys beat Central Springs 39-32, and then Garner Hayfield Ventura 61-45, and then you ran into Manson Northwest Webster 72-49. You guys lost that game. Number one, do you remember how Manson did the rest of that season? Did they go to state, win state? I don't know. And then was that serve as some motivation for you guys coming up as going to be kind of upperclassmen at that point? We can get to this point, we can get past this point. What do we have to do to get there, type of thing? What'd you remember from that season, end of that season?
Not a lot.
I
think Manson did go to state though. I think Manson was one of the top teams of Iowa, but I don't know how they finished.
Yeah,
they had a really good post girl, because I remember, of course, I had to play against her. And she was really good. She was really versatile. And so after that was kind of Sonia's thing. You should be like her. You got to, be able to drive and be under the basket. I don't remember how they did, but yeah, they had a really good post player.
And a really good point guard. I remember that too.
I think they were really fast paced, and I don't think we were there yet as a team.
No. Well, and I feel like it was it kind of was like a snowball effect into the next season. We had the confidence, the Osage games, the Forest City, and then getting to the third round, but we kind of knew in the back of our head, we weren't quite yet playing with everybody we were used to yet. Like I said, we still had Morgan Reuter, Cassie Sonius. They were great players and obviously did a lot for us. But I think going into that next season, knowing that we did really well, we made some we had really good wins and games and things like that. But going into the next season, we knew okay, this is legit. We're all finally going to be together and we're going to do something.
Yep. Yeah, so let's get to it. The 2 state seasons. 2010-2011 season is when you guys were all on had those varsity spots. You guys went 25-2, and you ran through the NIC 14-0. Newman was second at 9-5. So you guys won the conference by 5 games. Again, not a common thing.
I didn't even know that.
I didn't either.
Yeah, it wasn't close. I have, on our notes here that I sent you guys, I have the list of each game. Which game stood out to you guys, regular season and playoffs, besides state? We'll get to state here in a minute.
Who did we lose to? Who's the second loss?
Charles City by
Oh,
10.
Charles
I remember that one. Coach was so mad.
This-
So
Okay.
bad.
That
I
to
remem-
me is I thought about this when I was looking through the notes. I think the Charles City game really kind of set the trajectory for our season, because I remember that we were ranked like second or third when we played them, or somewhere we were like pretty high up in the rankings. And then we played Charles City and they were a 3A team and we obviously lost. We hung with them the whole game and then they pulled away at the end. And then our ranking went down to like 7 or 8. And obviously we're not talking about state yet, but I think had us and Martinsdale St. Mary's been on opposite ends of on opposite sides of the bracket, I think we would have met in the state championship. So I hate to be somebody who talks about rankings because, you know, we always talk about how they don't matter, but I think in that particular situation, it did matter, because I think we would have had I think it should have been us and Martinsdale St. Mary's in the state championship, and that we never recovered from that loss to Charles City as far as the rankings go.
Right.
So.
Because after that, because Charles City was ranked like number 10 and they were in 3A. And then after that, we really didn't like play anybody like significant. So our ranking never really went back up to what number 2 or whatever we were.
Yep.
Yeah, like looking at the schedule here, a lot of blowouts. Newman, like I said, was second in the conference. And you beat them by 17.
Yeah.
Put up 92 on Corwith. No problems with Osage, 61-38. 30-point win against Forest City. North Iowa kind of gave you a game, 59-40. Belmont at Belmont, 85-8. Yeah.
Oh,
Talk-
Was that? I
what do you
thought
remember
that was
about
a
that?
game. Was that the next year?
We
No,
played the
this-
JV,
No,
I
that
thought,
was-
that game. Like we played
Wait.
like the first 2 minutes and then nobody played again. I don't think.
I
Okay,
just kind of want to hide my face whenever someone
but
brings
we
that
should
up.
talk. We should talk about our perspective though, because we get a lot of crap for this game. And
Yes.
so let's set the record straight. So first of all, as a varsity player, you have to play every quarter. So when you go to state, otherwise it shows that you didn't play all the quarters and something looks funky there. So we had to play every quarter. And then the other side of that is that we kind of had a goal. Now our goal was not to demean a team, but it was to keep our defense in check and ourselves in check. So we had a goal of, we didn't have a goal. Sony's had a goal of under 10. So
Yeah, I
it was
remember.
more for our defense and to keep us, I don't know.
We had a goal of not running.
Yeah, we had a
did
goal of not
wanna
running.
run.
But not to say these teams are bad, but you gotta, I don't know what I'm trying to say. You gotta keep yourself fresh and you gotta keep yourself
Yes.
ready for that higher competition. So when you're working on your defense and keeping them under a, certain score, that's keeping your defense fresh and ready for those bigger games.
I also do remember like pulling off like on the defensive end of things, like after the in the second half for sure. It's probably even in the first half, but I remember like we weren't going to be fouling, right? Like we're just going to let them take the shot, and it was like they could not make a shot, and
Yeah,
it's unfortunate for them. It was just like there's like nothing else we can do here. Like we're not
'Cause we
trying.
still have to
It's not like
play.
we're like, yeah, it's not like we're like, blocking all their shots or anything. Like we definitely took an offhand approach, especially in the second half, and it just nothing was falling for them.
Yeah, I've always gone with the approach of you have to do what you have to do, regardless of what the other team's like. Like when I played football, we would win games by 50, 60 points, and some people would question that. It's like, what do you want us to do? Just fall over or just,
Right.
stick 5 less guys on the field? You have to put best effort in, and then the JV kids come in and you're not going to tell them to just take a knee or to just, let people go through. They want to gain that experience too. So yeah,
I think Sonia's got a bad rap too, like just other teams and like coaches would be so mad at him because he like wouldn't take us out or keep us playing. And it's like, he's not just going to sit us all for 4 quarters and not like, we still need to like be in shape and like be playing the game. Like it was just, we can't help it. We're blowing people out.
Yep.
And something else, I mean, we were a respectable team to the other team. We didn't talk trash to them or before games, after game, during the game. I mean, we were respectful to those teams.
Yep.
Right.
And we always had the mindset that we were going to play our best game no matter who the team was.
Yep.
That's what you got to do to get to that point. So yeah, you wrapped up the regular season with a 53-34 win at Lake Mills. Close game at Forest City, 61-58. Beat Newman by 9 on the road. And then unfortunately, when playoffs come around, first round, Belmont Clemmy, 84-34. So a little more respectable. Twin River Valley, 80-45. Northeast Hamilton, 66-51. And then the regional final was North Butler. You guys won 49-36 to go to state. So that's over
That
like a week and a
I will
half.
never forget the
That
first 10 minutes of that game.
Oh, that game.
Talk about it. What happened?
Are we talking about Northeast Hamilton?
No, I'm talking about North Butler.
Oh, yeah.
Butler.
We just like came out and did nothing for like 10 minutes. And then I remember, this is all I remember is like Anna came off the bench and scored like the first 12 points. And then we were like, all right, we got this. Let's go. Like literally.
It was definitely not 10 minutes, but
well, yeah, whatever.
Yes.
Yeah.
We had played North Butler quite a few times in tournaments when we were younger. Do you guys remember that?
Yeah.
So when we saw these girls, we knew that they were rough and that I was going to end up with scratches. Like it was going to be a rough game. Brooklyn Savoy, tell your charge story because that is a wonderful story.
I just remember falling hard. That's all I remember.
Yeah, you took one for the team there. But okay, another thing I should mention is Anna. Anna, I didn't realize how many points you scored and how great you were until after the fact. We were just part of our team, and you know, we just all played together. And all of a sudden, I look up at the board, and Anna has like 14 points. I'm like, wow, oh wow, Anna, go Anna.
I will say, like, just talking generally, like from a team perspective, like I think that is what made our team, especially like, well, I would say in both seasons, but like we were all like, I don't remember one time during like my high school career, like, you know, checking my stats or like, it was like, as long as we're winning the game, like I could care less. Like, and I think we had that trust where it was like, if I'm kind of like in that situation, like nobody's scoring points, like, okay, I got to get off the bench. And it's not because like I need to score points. Like we legitimately as a team, like need to score points. And so we got to just do it. And I feel like that was really special about our team. It was like, I never got the sense that anybody was out there because they wanted, so it was like, we just want to get to state and we don't care how we get there, but we're going to do it.
And it was always, it always worked out where like on our team, when someone was having a bad night, someone else stepped up. It was never all, like the same person always getting the most points, getting the most assists, the most rebounds. Everyone like it dispersed out every game. Every game was so different.
Yeah, I think you have it somewhere in your notes that it was usually like Kaylee had 12, Anna had 10, I had 10, like, and Anna had 14. That's what made us so successful. Everyone did their part.
Right.
And we all could equally help the team.
And that's like, nobody could guard us. Like, how can you prepare to guard a team like that when you have such a deep bench? Like you have Anna and Kelly, and even like Derica, she would put up 6-8 points. Like you just never knew who was going to be scoring or whatever. So, or like if somebody would double team me, literally Kayla would just be like, all right, give me the ball. I can dribble too. Like, so it didn't even matter. Like, and I just like think back to, wow, I have no idea how teams prepared for us with the bench that we had. And obviously the starters, but just our deep bench was crazy.
Well, I remember the coaches' faces on the other teams when we'd rotate out 5 and 5. They're like,
yes.
What do we do with this?
Yes.
Honestly, that's how we were successful because we could just outrun anybody. If the 5 of us were tired, just send 5 new ones in and
And they'll literally do the same thing we were just doing. Like, it's pretty cool.
I also remember watching you guys, and there'd be times where the 5 starters or the, you know, and the 6 man or whatever, you guys could go a full set without, it wasn't just like the old Tom Davis University of Iowa thing where it was 5 in, 5 out, 5 in, 5 out. Like you 5 or 6 could go the whole game if you needed to as well. It's just you had the luxury of having another 5 or 6 girls on the bench that could take over, and you wouldn't miss much of a beat either. So I think that's what did you guys did well postseason level as well. So
we were well trained in the running game. Let's just
I was gonna say
Could you survive a Coach Sonia's practice in 2022?
Oh,
No,
I-
No.
Keel
just the
over.
thought of it makes me want to throw up.
I still have nightmares. Brooklyn and I text about this, like just had this nightmare.
Yep.
I forgot my shoes.
Yes, my knee
Something.
pads. I forgot my
Knee
knee
pads.
Oh
pads
my gosh, the knee pads. If
I
someone
have those
forgot them, we had to
dreams
run sprints.
all the time.
That
Oh,
was
yeah.
so annoying.
What about the knee pads?
He made us wear knee pads, and if you forgot your knee pads to practice, get on the line. We're running.
Yep.
We
And I remember
that,
like
not
we
just
started
one,
that
trend.
we did not need
Everybody.
to run for this.
Everybody's running, not just one person.
Yeah.
Knee pads so you could get on the ground and dive after loose balls at every chance possible.
That's
Yes.
just the norm. Like, I don't know.
I
like-
honestly though, I can't imagine playing basketball without knee pads now.
Right. Yeah.
I'm like,
Right.
how would you dive after balls and not be like worried that your knees are gonna get all scratched up and like you're gonna injure yourself?
Yeah. Dakota, my husband Dakota like sees pictures and he's like, why were you guys wearing knee pads playing basketball? And I'm like, don't even ask. Like,
We were hardcore, okay?
yeah.
Give it 25 more years, that'll be back in style, and then you'll be like, yep, we knew what we were doing.
And
Yep.
Sarah used to wear the tall
The long
socks for
socks.
basketballs. And
Yes.
literally, like I've met people that we played. Like I'm actually good friends with a gal that was on the Martinsdale St. Mary's team that beat us. And I always say like my sister, she's like, was she the one that wore like the tall socks at the back? I'm like, yep, that was her.
Nope, never seen her a day in
Love
my life. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
Yep.
But the other thing that I will say about our postseason prep, you mentioned that we had Belmont Clemmy the first game, and we prepped the exact same for them as we did for North Butler. Like there was never a, oh, it's Belmont Clemmy, we beat them 85-8. Like let's think about the next game or who we might play. It was like, no, we're preparing for Belmont Clemmy. We're gonna work just as hard as if we were playing the game to go to state. And so that to me was something that stood out too, is like we took Belmont Clemmy seriously, regardless of what we had done in the past. So
Yeah. And speaking of preparation and coaching, let's talk about the assistant coaches. First of all, I have to ask about this because it was quoted in the paper twice about Coach Hesley and his strong dislike for the Black Eyed Peas. And I got a
Same.
feeling,
Now,
did you guys just do that to mess with him, or what was the story behind Coach Hesley and that?
I didn't even know he didn't like it.
I didn't either.
That was
didn't
our
either.
song.
so right now,
Yeah. When I read that, I was like, wait, he didn't like that?
He was
It's
quoted in
not
the
like
paper
all the
twice.
time.
Yeah.
That was on the White of State. I remember. I'm pretty sure the song was on repeat, and we were all screaming it the whole way, like the 2-hour
That's
bus ride,
probably why he hated
just
it.
going the whole time.
I honestly understand why he hated it. He just like didn't know.
Now,
Yeah.
yeah,
While we're on the subject, talk about Coach Hesley and Coach Wilson a little bit. What those guys mean to the program, because they're just now kind of getting out of the program. So they've been 15 some years in there with Coach Sonius. Talk about Hesley and Coach Wilson.
Goose.
I think with like the intense head coach we had, like having like Dale is like the most quiet person ever. And then you have Kevin, who's just like goofy. Like they just kept things light for us when like it was just a very good like difference of personalities that we had across the board with coaches. Because if you have like 3 super intense coaches, like you kind of don't have anybody making light of the mood anytime or making jokes. Like they really did that for us. And like if we were upset about anything, I feel like those were the 2 guys that would help us out and bring our spirits back up.
I would definitely call them our soundboards. Things we couldn't say to Coach Sonius, we could say to Kevin or Dale.
Yeah.
And I remember like if there was something, like if Coach Sonius was mad about something during a game, like he'd usually pull you off and, like be talking to you about this situation. Never really felt great afterwards. And then Dale or Goose would be like, hey, come here, like, let's talk about it. Like, I think it's just the intensity. Like obviously when Sonius was in on a game, it was like sole focus, like I'm just thinking about the game. And whereas Kevin and Dale were more like just kind of could like seeing big picture kind of thing, like let's just talk about this and figure out how we're going to fix it. So I felt like they did a really good job of doing that.
Goose, can I ask where that name came from?
Is it
It's part
Naked
of-
Gun?
Yeah,
Top
it's Top Gun,
Top
and
Gun.
Goose is one of the
What's
guys.
Naked Gun?
Goose is- but
We
who's
never knew because we didn't watch that. We were too young.
You're way too young. You didn't
So
go to
So
was
Marcy
wasn't
to.
Sonia's like Maverick or something?
Yeah, yeah.
But we couldn't call
Uh,
him a nickname. It was only Goose.
There we go.
I have a lot of respect for those guys. When we would split up in practice, the post kids and then the guards. So the post would go with Dale and Goose. And so yeah, just a lot of respect for them. I still see them in the community, and they're just great guys, and they care about your families and your whole being, and that's exactly how it was in practice. It wasn't just basketball. It was how you were and just always making you a better person.
Do you guys remember when we had to run because I had the hiccups? I know, Sarah, you remember.
Yes. Oh my. Yes. You're
I'm pretty sure
insane.
if Goose and Dale were the only coaches, we would have not run for that. But like, I've been obnoxious.
You got Sonia on a bad day. You were so annoying.
Literally made everyone run because I had the hiccups and I could not.
He's like,
control them.
just get on the line.
And Sarah and Kelly were laughing because they were like so
Dying.
obnoxious. He was like not having it.
I
And
think
then
that's
I
why he
remember,
got so mad was because we
Well-
were dying laughing and couldn't stop.
and then I remember we were doing our where we'd like pass it and then we'd shoot threes. I don't remember what that drill was called. We'd do it at the beginning of every game. And I remember, so we were laughing, and then Sarah threw a ball and it hit Brooke Huizenveld in the head.
Marcy.
Oh, Marcy Valiant. And then it was like, no, like we're getting on the line. It was so bad.
No, it happened 3 times. I hit somebody in the head with the ball, and 3 times he stopped practice and put us on the line because I couldn't like get hit to somebody. Oh my goodness.
You were the point guard, right? Yeah.
Yeah, and it hit 3 people in the head, and he's like, "Get on the line, get on the line."
Just had that. Yep, I'm done with you guys for now.
Yep.
Also, just so you know, those 3 words haunt us to this day on the
Yeah.
line.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Let's get to state here. State first round, Bedford. I was long-term subbing at West Hancock for Mrs. Horseman in the middle school. So I went down to the game because I was part of the West Hancock staff, and as a fan, I was excited that the girls made it down for the first time in many years. But the game started off pretty horrible. A few minutes into the third quarter, we were down by 15 to Bedford. We're down 14 at halftime, 37-23. Was that kind of getting used to playing at state at Wells Fargo, the depth perception of the baskets, nerves? What was kind of the contributors to that kind of an awful start you guys had?
I just
Yeah.
I just remember there's a picture of us when we first walk in. We're all holding hands and we're like underneath the dome, and you could just see it in our faces. We're like,
Oh,
holy
Nice.
Look at that.
yeah, she's
What
yeah,
is this
We're all
place?
just
Kelly, your
not
mouth
sure.
is literally open.
Yeah,
That's good.
yeah, that
That's
picture.
great.
I just remember that because we practiced, we ran more because coach he was instilling it. The floor is so much longer. You guys, the floor is longer. You're gonna be so tired. And so just walking in there, and obviously our crowd is crazy and it's so big, and the whole atmosphere, I think, just like took your breath away of it. Like, I don't know. Yeah.
And like realizing you like had finally hit a dream that you put on yourself since 3rd or 4th grade is just like, is this real?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then
One thing I specifically remember, like when we're talking about nerves, I'll never forget it. It was in the first half. I think it was the first quarter, and Sarah had the ball. We weren't even at half court, and she passed it to me, and it literally just like went through my hands and out of bounds. And we just looked at each other, and Sarah was like, like what? And I was just like, I honestly, there was nobody guarding us. It just like slipped out of my hands. And I think that was just like, I was turning to go to just start going down the court. And it was like, I just was so anxious. And so that's one play I remember as just being like, this is not going well.
settle
So,
down. Yep.
yes.
Yeah. But you figured it out because you were down 11 at the end of the third quarter and then went on a 26-7 run to win the game 67-59. What was the difference in that last quarter? Some of the notes I have: Brooklyn hit a couple threes with under about 4 minutes to go to give you guys the lead. And then you got a 4-point lead. It was pretty much over at that point. Kaylee had 13 points, Brooklyn 12, Anna 11, Anna 9, Anna and Brooke each had 8. 14 steals is what stood out to me. Was that kind of, I think if I remember watching the game in person, just you created a lot of turnovers defensively in that last quarter. Do you think that was kind of the main difference? You finally just wore them out a little bit?
Well, and Sarah, you were fouled out for part of the fourth quarter, weren't you?
Yeah, I
Between
did.
you and
I fouled
Anna?
out like
Anna fouled out too?
No, I didn't foul
Oh,
out.
you didn't? Okay.
it was yeah, I fouled out. I think there was like 3 minutes left because I'm pretty sure we were ahead. Because I remember I was on the court when Brooklyn hit that corner 3. And that put us
I
up
was
by 4.
concussed like 2 minutes ahead of that. So I just because that girl hit me in the ear bone and I blacked out. But then
Oh
back
yeah.
in.
Oh yeah.
So
I
guess
remember that. So, I don't know. When did you say it was 4 to go? It was, I mean, it was late in the fourth quarter, but yeah, I remember I was at the free throw line and all I thought was like, all right, if I miss this, I'm going to go for it. Cause like, I want the ball back. I want us to like get another point if we can, like get another basket. And so I had already talked myself into missing, I guess. And I missed and I went and I still have the picture of me going for that ball, not even touching the girl. My hand is only on the ball, like have the exact picture from state and fouled out. So
If I remember right, Sarah, you could look at you on the court and know exactly what you were thinking. You didn't hide your thoughts,
No.
emotions very well on the court. It was
That's
like,
true
yep.
off the court as well.
Yeah.
Just want to make the record clear on that one.
Did you two share a
Yes.
bedroom growing up? Was it like just
For
after
a
the game
while.
you were like, I'm gonna kill her when we get home, or she's sleeping on the couch tonight type of thing?
No, actually, I feel like we were like, I felt like Sarah was like my biggest supporter. Like,
yeah.
if I had a bad game, it was like, hey, like next one. It was never like, oh, that, you got to do better or whatever. It was just so.
Yeah, Anna and I have talked about that. It was just crazy. Like we never really talked a lot of basketball at home. Like it literally was like everything we said was like with the team or like, I don't know. We never we don't remember like having deep conversations when we got back from a game. Like, oh, we should have done that. Or like, I don't know. It's weird to think about because like you would think we would have had a ton of conversations, but we really didn't. We kind of kept it on the court and like in front of the team. Like whatever we said was in front of everybody else. So
Yep. All right, let's move on to the semifinals. Martinsdale St. Mary's. They had a big girl, 6'4", Mackenzie Morrison.
Yeah.
How'd you prepare?
She wore
for
a
her?
yellow bow in her hair.
She was a whole shoulder and head taller than I was.
did she have like 30 points too?
Yeah.
That game?
She had to have.
You guys, I have to drive by that town all the time. And it
I
still
do
hits
every
me
single
like
day.
a dagger in the heart.
I was
Yeah,
in a
it was-
wedding with one of the basketball players, like multiple of them, and they were there, and I was like, I'm still not over it. So just so
was very
everyone
difficult.
knows.
You never
Very
get
difficult
over it.
to guard that girl.
I do like them better than Pella Christian, though. I will say that.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. Is it just because of the Wartburg Central thing, the whole Pella thing, or is it just because of the game?
No, the game for sure.
That game was.
Yeah. This Martinsdale game, even though we lost, has a lot of meaning to me personally. I didn't put this in my notes, I don't think. My wife and I met online, and we decided that she was living in Pella, I was living in Britt, Buffalo Center area. We decided that we needed to meet, but it would be easy because I'd be coming to Des Moines for this game. So our first date was at the girls' state basketball tournament,
Nice.
Martinsdale St.
Aw.
Mary's versus West Hancock.
I love
we-
that.
Love it.
We sit down, we're behind the hoop about 2/3 the way up Wells Fargo, and we're sitting there on our first quote date. And I'm like, she's probably not going to give me a second date if state basketball is our first date. But all of a sudden, someone taps me on the shoulder, and it's Robin Drake, the old boys and girls basketball coach at Britt. And he sits next to us and talks to me because I haven't seen him for years, for about 45 minutes. And I'm like, all right, dude, good to see you. Get out of here. I'm on a date. And then he leaves. And then a few minutes later, my dad shows up. Did not know he was in the area. He was doing his captain's choice truck route. And he spent the rest of my first date with my wife, the whole rest of the game with us, watching the game and talking to us. and in about 2 weeks is our 10-year anniversary. So it worked out.
Wow.
But yeah,
Love
Martinsdale, West Hancock girls basketball is our first date, and she's
I'm
still
sorry we
young for
couldn't
that,
get you the
so.
win.
Yeah, no
kidding.
kidding.
That's all right. I was bummed at the loss because I get into my high school sports, but I had, other things I was thinking about that night. So, yeah, 4 months later, we got engaged. A year later, we were married, and here we go. We got a couple 7-year-old boys who hopefully are in bed right now. I put them in charge of their own bedtime tonight because my wife has a meeting. So,
Oh no.
yeah, we'll see what happens. Yeah. So anyway, how'd you guys prepare for Mackenzie Morrison? And if she wasn't on that team, do you think you would have beaten Martinsdale? Was she kind of the team?
She was definitely the team. I mean, I don't know how you guard somebody that's
Yeah.
5 inches above you.
She touched the rim. Like she didn't even have to shoot the basket.
Yeah.
But they didn't go on.
Their point guard was pretty good too, but
Yes.
But they didn't go on to win state, did they?
Yeah,
Yeah,
they
they
did.
did.
Yeah, they won.
they
win.
They won by like
Yeah.
30 points
It
against.
was
Oh,
a very
really?
boring
Should have
game.
been the championship game because
We would've got second
our
then.
game was actually a good game.
Because they played like Arweva or something, and
Oh yeah.
like
That
It was
sounds
such
right.
a boring game.
but
Like
that game was terrible.
yeah,
Yeah.
terrible.
Okay, honestly, I don't really even remember being super sad about losing because we just had such a great experience at state. I like when you said whatever that or Weeba, I remember we went to the 4A game. Do you guys remember going to the 4A Scarlets game?
Yes.
Do you guys remember that? No?
The 4A
don't
games
know
were
if I do.
insane.
And I don't know, it was just a totally different atmosphere. There's so many people and everyone was cheering. We're like, wow, we're just small town Iowa and we have a huge crowd here. But it was the same size as these 4A schools. And I don't know,
Yeah.
just that overall experience is so great. So
And I
fun.
would like that first year going and just like I had a way better time than the second year. Like it was just, I don't know. I obviously making it to the second round made it a lot more cooler, I think. And we like enjoyed the rest of the week. I just felt like that second year was just so different than
Mhm.
that first time going.
I also think when we lost that game, we were definitely like upset that we lost, but we also knew we were coming back.
Yeah.
And it was like, we know we've got pretty much, I think Brittany Brooks was our only senior.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so we had everybody coming back. And I think that kind of helped that portion of it where it was like, okay, we made the semifinals and next year we're going to win it all.
And
Yeah.
I remember giving absolutely everything in that game. So there wasn't anything to be disappointed
Right.
about.
I think they were the better team. I mean, with
For
the
sure.
girl that they had, I think they deserved to win the game. I just think it should have been us and them in the state championship
Yeah.
game.
Agree.
Definitely. Yep. Heading into that off season, you already kind of answered that question, but did you guys do even more workouts, more stuff, or was it kind of business as usual from year to year? What was the off season like going into that?
6:30 a.m. weightlifting during
Yeah,
the
I think
think
something like not a lot of people know is like how dedicated all of us were in the off season. Like it's very rare. Like I was a basketball coach for 2 years out of college, and it's very rare to get like as many majority of your players into the gym, into the weight room all summer long at 6:30 in the morning. And we were all there like every single time, which I think is very like commendable. I don't know. I think it's very rare to find that.
Mm-hmm.
And
And
I
we
think
found different tournaments or different camps to go to. We try to find us harder teams to play, maybe
Yep.
teams we would see at state or like 3A teams. So that definitely helped us too.
Yeah,
I'm gonna-
'cause we moved up classes.
Yeah, that was a dagger.
Sucked.
3 kids.
I have to take a
Yeah,
minute.
it was like
to
we
give
were
a-
the smallest, not to get into the next year, sorry, but we were the smallest school in 2A on the list.
We
Yeah.
just made the cutoff.
Yeah.
Just made
Yeah.
the cutoff.
I remember that.
WCLT closed. Dang it.
Yeah, those
They
3
put
kids.
us over the edge.
That's what it was.
There was 2 Woden kids and a Corwith kid, and you're up in 2A probably.
Yep,
Yep. That's
And the
basically what it
2A class was huge. Like the difference between the top
Yeah.
school
Yeah.
and us was insane.
It was.
Yeah, makes a big difference. All right, I'm going to get to some sponsors here, and then we're going to talk about that next season. Thanks to Sidetrack Lanes and Britt for sponsoring the podcast. Sidetrack Lanes opened in Britt in 1996 under new ownership. Go bowl at 411 Main Avenue North. Enjoy some food and a drink or two while you're bowling. Join a league. Check out their events on their Facebook page or call Sidetrack Lanes at 843-4567. That's Ron Bauer and Sidetrack Lanes. The World with Nate podcast is my next sponsor. Nate Allison is the brother of a friend of ours down here in Indianola from our church. Nate has his own podcast called The World with Nate. He hits on a lot of great topics, and his goal is to help and inspire people. Nate's an Iowan who loves just helping people reach their dreams and tell their stories. So check out his podcast, The World with Nate, on Apple and other social media platforms. Mary Jo's Hobo House and Catering in Britt's been a huge West Hancock supporter for 29 years now. Travel Iowa voted the Hobo House as having one of the 10 best burgers in Iowa. Visit Mary Jo's Hobo House for lunch and breakfast every day at 72 Main Avenue South. Call them at 843-3840. That's Mary Jo's Hobo House and Catering, and they are retiring here in, I think, August. So congrats to Mary Jo and Linda on their upcoming retirement, and hopefully someone steps in and buys that and keeps the Hobo House going. It's a great place. Levi Don Trucking is my next sponsor. Thanks to Levi Don and his trucking company for sponsoring a bunch of episodes. Call Levi at 641-860-0077 or look him up on Facebook. That's Levi Don Trucking and Britt. And then First State Bank takes pride in their community-based values, and they want to be your bank. They take pride in serving the Eagle Nation communities. They can personalize your banking products to meet the needs of your busy life with free internet banking and their mobile banking app with mobile deposit. Try their bill pay services as well. First State Bank backs our Eagles 24/7, just like their service to you. First State Bank, whether it's personal, business, real estate, or ag loans, they have the products to serve you best. So check out First State Bank in Britt. All right, 2011-2012 basketball season. You guys went 25-1. Your only loss, obviously, like we've already alluded to, was the first round of the Class 2A state tournament. We already talked, you guys bumped up a class to 2A. You've already mentioned that was kind of tough because you're the smallest of all the 2A schools. Kind of doesn't put a damper on everything, I'd say, but you definitely would have been the favorite in Class 1A, I would assume.
Right.
Morrison girl was gone, and you guys brought everyone back, but Brittany, probably, I mean, hypothetical, you play the woulda, coulda, shoulda game.
Yeah.
Probably would have been state champs that year in 1A. But legitimately, you guys, I think, were good enough to still win it in 2A. It's just every team, there's not, I always say in the lower classes, you have some really good teams and then some really bad teams. In the upper classes, everyone's decent at least.
Pretty decent, yeah.
Yeah.
Those 2A Christian schools.
Yeah, those recruiters, I tell you.
Yeah.
That was definitely a hard pill to swallow with the Christian schools, because we were just, 8, 10, group of girls, and we were all really good and we played really good together just by chance. And so it was really hard to hear that people were recruiting when we just had, let us have our moment.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So looking through some of the games here, I have all your scores. Osage was a close one, game 4, 57-46. Other than that, most games were just blowouts. I mean, you're putting up 70, 80 each night, only giving up 20, 30, 40 a game, all the way down to playoff time. To me, though, it's like, wow, they're dominating. They're amazing. But that can almost be a curse at the same time. I've always thought you blow through everybody in the regular season, and it's like, oh boy, we're not as prepared. But sounds like with Coach Sonius, he prepared for every game the same way as the state championship game or the,
I honestly, our scores, I give credit to our defense. We spent hours on our defense. Yeah. And that's where we scored all our points, was on turnovers. If it was a close game, we weren't getting points off turnovers.
Right. That's so true.
Yeah. But
honestly, it did feel like, we knew we were blowing people out, but we prepared for games, just like Anna had said earlier. We treated every game like it was a state game, and we wanted to win. I really didn't, like, going into our postseason, we had played conference people, and I remember being kind of nervous. Like, we want to win these games. I don't know. We just never really had the mindset that we were just going to win every time and it was going to be handed to us.
Or that
We
like
knew
we
had to
were
work for
way
it.
better than them. Like I remember going
Yeah.
into it thinking like we could lose, like we need to play our best. Like I never was like, oh, I mean, maybe like Belmont or something, but like the other teams, it's like they could beat us. And we never looked at ourselves like we're way, way better than you. We're just going to blow you out.
Not to
That's what
say
I'll-
oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, I was just gonna say that's where I'll never forget. It was either at the end of junior season or the beginning of senior season going into our last season. Sonius would always say, you have a target on your back. You have a target on your back. Everyone's coming for you. Everyone wants to beat you. Like you're the ones you're going to work their hardest for. And so going into every game was super nerve wracking because it was like, oh, like we are the target.
Yeah, I
And
remember
it's true.
being nervous every game. Like I'd put my shoes on and socks on like the same way. Like not saying I'm superstitious, but a little stitious.
Yeah,
Why I
Michael's
wore
got-
socks.
Yeah,
I have that
No.
t-shirt.
I was
Do you
nervous
guys-
every game.
Do you remember the Forest City game? I was just looking. So it was in the playoffs when they stopped. Like they did not run with us. They just stopped
Yeah.
playing, and we did
That's
not
why
know what
it's
to
so
do. We did not know how to
No,
handle it.
Yeah.
I
They
remember
That was
being
scary.
so nervous that game.
So scary.
Going into the fourth quarter because they were so close to us, and I'm like, we're gonna blow it. And I just I did not like that playoff season whatsoever because we played the same teams, and that is so hard to do, to beat a team 3 times, like and to like have to prepare for the same team. Like they knew us like the back of their hand. Like
Well, we played Osage, and we had played them all through our, all through
Yeah.
tournaments when we were little kids too. And it was kind of like this was the final game. Like
Yeah.
it was almost like 3rd and 4th grade when we scored 13 versus 14. Do you remember those games? I mean,
Yes.
very
It
minimal
was-
scoring. And
It
here
was
we were.
always ugly with Osage. Always.
Yes.
Always.
Always a rough game. I always remember them as being just rough.
Well, I remember just like that whole season, like kind of how Kaylee said, like we had a target on our back. Like I remember every team just being super like hard on us. I don't know how else to say it, but they would just like try and run us down. It was
And
crazy.
especially
That's
Forest City because of your interview with them, Sarah, or on KIMT.
All right,
I forget
explain,
what you
please.
said, but you
I think,
said
like-
something like they obviously
We're-
thought they were gonna beat us, or they thought they were gonna beat us. Obviously, they were wrong, or something.
No, there was like a rumor going around or something that like they for sure were gonna beat our press. Like they had our press down. They were gonna get through it, blah blah. And I remember KMT interviewed me after it was like the game at Forest City that we beat them because we were like Forest City was always kind of like the team to like beat because they're a bigger school. They had good players. Like I remember them interviewing me and I did say that. I was like, yeah, they were saying all week that they're going to beat our press, but obviously they couldn't. And then they got so
And
mad.
that is, I believe, why we only won by 8 points.
Yeah.
Then the postseason pairings come out 3 days later, and you're like, oh crap.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you guys beat them 48-40, not long after beating them 63-40. And then
Right.
earlier in the season was 82-32. And like Sarah said, it's hard for high school kids to get over that. Like, hey, we beat them twice. We're just going to beat them again.
Right.
And that was I believe the first year they went down from 3A to 2A. They had always been a solid 3A team, and their enrollment dropped. So they were probably one of the bigger schools in the class. And then, like we said, we were the smallest in the class. So yeah, then you beat Garner in the next round, and then Osage 68-40. So you didn't have a whole lot of trouble with them in the postseason. Sumner Fredericksburg was the regional final. Talk about getting back to state. Like you've already kind of mentioned, playing the same conference teams makes it tough. Did it feel as exciting to make it back? Was it more business-like to go back leading up to that game with Pella Christian? What do you remember?
Help me remember. Did we went to school either this year or the year before? We had to go to a half day of school before we played a game. Was it this year?
No, I thought the Pella Christian game was at like 10 a.m. So
Yeah.
that was odd
Maybe it
for
was
us. It was a
last year.
morning game.
It would have been the Martinsdale game, I believe. You were
Okay.
probably in
We
school.
did. That's so weird.
So, yeah.
we
We
did
had like
half
a
day of
3
school.
o'clock game or something, 4 o'clock game.
That's
Anyway,
weird.
sorry.
Yep.
I don't know. There was a mindset with them being a Christian school. There definitely was when we
There-
got them.
Do you have their 3 percentage? They shot like
Oh,
Lights
they was
out.
crazy.
crazy
That one
amount.
girl.
And he had like 3 guards that could do it, not just
Yeah.
one. It was like
Yeah,
a few of them
it's
that
really hard to beat one of those teams when they did not miss a shot hardly.
Yeah.
no, and they their percentage against us was like over 50 or something like
Yeah,
that. It was
yep.
crazy from the
Yep.
3-point line. Like that's
Yep.
crazy.
Yeah.
So I know you guys had state title aspirations. You went from probably should have been in the title game the year before, bring virtually everybody back, bump up to 2A, have to play a private school, and only lose by 3. It's not like you went up there and got beat by 30. And sometimes it's like would you almost rather get blown out by 30 than lose by 3? Then you play the woulda, coulda, shoulda game.
Right.
What were the initial feelings after that game? Was it like we should be state champs, or what was kind of going through your mind at that time?
We had definitely worked our butts off on that game. I remember we were like 1 in, 1 out at that point. I remember Brooke doing offense because that was her game, and then I did the defense because that was my game. And I don't know if anyone else did that, but we fought to the end on that game.
I blew out my kneecap in the last 30 seconds, so I was.
No, that's right.
Yeah, that was a rough game. And I just feel like with our conference, we had such big games. We didn't know how to play close games. At the
end.
Yes.
That's where it bit us in the butt, was like we were at the end and we literally didn't know what to do.
We never had practice with that.
No, because you can practice that all day long in like just regular practice. But when it comes to the time, like you have to have games before that you've been able to come out of, or at least prepared for in that moment. And we hadn't had to do that yet.
Yeah, you can't simulate that in practice, regardless of how good your other teammates are. There's just the atmosphere is lacking, and there's just those girls know you and you know them. It's different from playing a completely different team. Pella Christian won the next game by 8 over OABCIG, and then they lost by 10 in the title game to Western Christian.
Well, they were like upset because they were the last, because we were number 1 or number 2 seed going into state, number 2, and they were like the last seed. So we were paired, or second to last seed, I don't know, but we were paired with them because their seed was so low. And so they were like an upset team throughout the whole state tournament because they were not supposed to win, obviously.
Well, and I would say it was more of the system, because back then, they've changed it now. It went straight by record, what your overall record was. And Pella Christian plays like Indianola, Norwalk, Dallas Center, Grimes. So they might come into state 12-10.
Right.
They have, like you were saying, you guys maybe didn't get as battle tested. That's all they knew was being battle tested that whole season. So that makes a big difference. I've never liked that. Like, you guys are undefeated, so you're the number 1 seed. This team was 12-10, so they're the 8 seed. That very deceiving. So
honestly, though, watching Western Christian in the finals, I think it would have been tough for us to.
Yeah,
I think they were just a very good team. They had 5 deep. I think like 4 of them were going Division I or Division II basketball.
Yeah, they were good.
They were a stacked team, and they had 2 girls in particular that were pretty much unstoppable. I think one of them, I remember her name being Jessie for some reason. And I remember she broke the 3-point record that year at the state tournament. Like, she just wouldn't miss. So I think we would have had a tough time meeting up with them and in the state championship.
For sure.
Yeah. And so
I think we would have hung, but.
So Anna and Kelly, you guys still had 1 year to go. Real quick, how did you guys do that last year? I don't remember off the top of my head. How'd you do your senior year?
We won the conference, and then we lost to Manson Northwest Webster I think it was the final to go to state. Yeah.
Was that a close game? I don't remember off the top of my head.
I don't remember. I think it was pretty close throughout, but I think they ended up beating us by like 10 or something.
At the end, yeah.
Yep. And then Sarah, you went to Wartburg to play basketball, which hurts me to say. You should have gone to Central, no offense. But anyway, your dad probably still gives you a hard time about that. Then 4 of the 5 of you guys go to Wartburg. Wasn't Mary?
Yeah, so he was kind of over it by the time I got there.
Yeah, he's like, whatever, I don't care. So.
Yeah, because I mean, he had 2 sons that went to Wartburg and played football. So
yeah,
and he played football at Central.
So Mary's still the favorite kid then, since she went
pretty
to Central.
much.
That makes sense. That's good to hear. Yep. And then Kaylee and Brooklyn and Anna, where'd you guys go after high school?
Well, I didn't go anywhere and play basketball. I ended up going to UNI for 3 years before I transferred down to Nyack for nursing school.
Nice.
I went to Iowa State, played intramural basketball, got laughed at when I wore
The
knee
best
pads.
kind.
Right.
Knee
Yes.
pads.
Same here.
Yeah, I went to Ellsworth and I played volleyball for a season, and then I transferred to Iowa State. And yep, Brooklyn and we took those intramural teams.
Nice.
Honestly, though, I did look into playing basketball at Simpson, and I had to really think about it. My body was spent after the seasons we had. So it really took some
Yeah.
thinking if I could even do next 4 years of basketball. So
And college is another step up. We
Yes, it
talked about
is.
going from like middle school to varsity, and then even D3 is very
Yep.
good quality basketball, and
Mm.
it just wears you out. So all right, I'm going to get to my last sponsors and then we're going to wrap it up. And then, yeah, here we go. Kelly Real Estate has been in business for 62 years, starting with Paul Kelly. Paul handed the business off to Steve and Deanna in 2017. Steve and Deanna have been involved with the business for over 20 years themselves and really enjoy it. It's a great way to get to know people and get involved with the community. Kelly Real Estate this last year added Rachel Swanson to their team and also their office manager, Nora Clark. So if you're looking for just the right starter home, the perfect forever home, or a unique fixer-upper, or even a transition into your retirement home, call Kelly Real Estate at 843-4102. Next is Jim Deemer and the Britt Vet Clinic. The Britt Vet Clinic is also long-term sponsoring the podcast, and they're located in downtown Britt. They're here for your small animal vet needs and swine vet services. Call them at 843-3416 or email them at the Britt Vet Clinic at brittvetclinic@gmail.com. Daniels Auto Collision in Charles City is my next sponsor. Owner Jason Daniels is a 1990 West Hancock grad. Whenever you need a minor fix-up or complete collision repair, Daniels Auto Collision is North Iowa's premier auto body shop, and they'll have your vehicle back on the road looking better than new. With over 30 years experience and all major insurances accepted, why take your chances with anyone other than Daniels Auto Collision? Call them at 641-220-3805. Email them at danielsautocollision@gmail.com or check them out at danielsautocollision.com. And my last sponsor for the night, I'm really excited for. I don't know if you guys have even heard this, but West Hancock has a Hall of Fame now. The West Hancock Hall of Fame's finally here. At halftime of the Garner game on August 26th, they're going to announce and induct the first ever members of the West Hancock Hall of Fame. After the game, there will be a reception at the Britt Country Club to officially honor and induct the inductees. So please come to that game, August 26th against Garner, and then to the reception at Britt Country Club afterwards. They're going to do 3 classes worth because they were like, we can't just induct 4 or 5 people. There's so many worthy people to get in. So they're going to do 2020, 21, and 22 all at the same time with COVID and stuff. There's Britt, Kanawha, and West Hancock people getting inducted. I'd like to thank Steve Lansing, the current athletic director, for a few more weeks. He's actually moving on to another job to be closer to family here soon. I'd like to thank the Sanger Legacy Fund for making this happen. And they asked me to MC the event. So I was pretty honored to be a part of that. So make sure you check that out here in a couple months. All right, wrapping this up. It doesn't have to be basketball related, but favorite stories, memories, favorite teachers, things you remember or cherish the most from your time at West Hancock.
I think
Yeah.
like when I think about West Hancock, and it just goes straight to basketball because it was just like the most fun time that I've like ever had. Just with like the group of girls that were on the team, and I don't know, it was just such like a cool experience that you never get again, especially with what we did going to state 2 years in a row. And like we had so much fun. Like it wasn't all business. Like I know you kind of made that comment earlier, like was it all business? It's like, yes, in practice we were working hard and we worked our butts off in the off season and things like that, but we had so much fun, and we have like these awesome crazy memories, like the slip and slide that we can't talk about, going to my house and eating like pounds of spaghetti and brownies before games and playing Just Dance. We would like sweat before every game, and just like make memories together, which again, I think Brooklyn said this, like, it's so rare to just like find a group of people like that like you just find your people and we played super well together and we all got along, and being a group of girls, like that doesn't happen. It's just like when I think back on that, I'm just like, wow, it's just so weird and like crazy that we were able to make that happen as a group of girls. So that's what I think back to when I think back to high school, was like the basketball seasons they were so fun.
Yeah. In practices, we were dying. We were literally dying, but we were having fun. So we must have enjoyed each other.
Yeah, I guess, because like everybody, I feel like it could have been just so easy to quit. So we obviously liked each other because we could have just quit and put ourselves out of that misery of running.
Like Christmas break practices, like,
I have PTSD. Do
Goosebumps.
not say that. Do not say
like I didn't look forward to Christmas.
No, it was the worst time.
Christmas was not your favorite holiday in high school if you played basketball.
No,
Week between Christmas and New Year's. Oh,
Or Thanksgiving was
terrible.
Yeah. So
I think I'll take away from like being at West Hancock, I think, is the community, like how the community just like wrapped us in their arms and just pulled us through everything. Like I could not believe that, like being in a different school district now, they're not even together, and you cherish, like you're like, wow, these poor kids, like I had this. I was always hugged somebody after the game, like whether it was Anna's parents, Brooklyn's parents, Anna's parents, somebody was talking to you, somebody was congratulating you, knew your name, like, and then people that weren't even parents were always there. And then just people in the community that came and watched and always just talked, and that we were just surrounded and loved so much. And I that was a very good thing. And I wish the kids that like my kids here would have that, and that other kids, like, and they need that. And I think that's what helped us a lot, is we were so surrounded and so loved. So that's so true. That I would take away from it.
We got the police escort out of town, like with fire trucks and everything.
Like when we needed to state, it was like the whole town stopped for us and was like, we're going to provide them suppers, and we're going to have a, charter bus to take them, and we're all going to stand outside our businesses and wave them off. And it's like, that is so what a special feeling. It's like, people were so excited for us. And even like Dan, hearing that like you went to our game, it's like, that's really cool that you were like invested in the community enough to be like, I'm going to go to all the games and watch these girls play.
Yeah. And I was just going to say that. Oh, sorry.
I just said,
go ahead.
They made you feel like a celebrity. Like that's what we felt like, which is just, it was crazy.
Yeah. And it's, like now they have the live stream and stuff like that. If you ever watch a West Hancock girls or boys basketball game on the live stream on KOW on a Friday night, there's like 3,000 people watching the games, and then the gym is full. The football team, same thing. They'd have 6,000 people. Basketball teams, 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 people watching the games remotely, and then packed gym. People are always checking the score, seeing how the team's doing, especially with, the generational, like, oh yeah, that I played with his, her dad and all that stuff too. It's like people care, and it doesn't just stay with the people that stayed in Britt and Kanawha. I've lived in Indianola for 10 years, and I don't miss a football game, and I try not to miss too many basketball games, and I don't have family or kids playing in those games. It's just take a lot of pride in where we're from. So
we could also make a little mini girls basketball team with our girls now.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, Sarah and Kelly, you better move back. Bring those little girls this way, because we got to make a basketball team.
On the line, girls, like, let's go.
Caitlin, is it Caitlin Anderson? She has a little girl, and is there any others?
Oh, yeah. Well, Brooke has a girl too.
Brooke has a girl, sure. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
God.
Well, I would never traumatize my kid with on the line, though.
Yeah.
Seriously.
I think it would make mine a little stronger. She needs that.
One thing I did want to note before we wrap it up too is I think the other thing that made I don't want to forget about talking about them is the girls like in Kelly and I's class. I think that we were a really special team. I just like a lot of them would have played on a lot of other teams and they pushed us really hard in practice all the time. They showed up, like gave it their best always. And I think like I always felt like our bench was just like all for us all the time. Like they showed up to every weightlifting program, like every time we had weightlifting, every time we had scrimmages, and they showed up to the, before the game. And I just think like they didn't get a ton of varsity playing time during those 2 years that we played, but they were like 100% committed to our team. And I think we would not have been the same team without their like constantly showing up and giving it their best to like push us at practice. And I think that's why we were prepared regardless of what team we were playing. So just wanted to give them a little shout out because they were we were an excellent team when we were in middle school and they would have played on many teams. We just had so many girls. So.
And, it's been 10 years since you guys played, but there really hasn't been much of a drop off in the program in those 10 years. It's been, they've been to state 2 additional times to a state title game, but it's been like regional finals pretty much every year, give or take 1 or 2 seasons, but it's been a tradition I think you guys have put together.
And I with
wrestling and
girls,
football, but girls basketball is big in Britt.
I just remember like summer camps, like we were in high school and when I hear those names, I'm like, oh my gosh, we had them in camp. They were on my team and they're in high school now. Like, holy cow, that's crazy. So
I feel like we attribute to some of their success too, because Sony's kind of figured out what to do and how to help them prepare for state games. I mean, that basketball hoop and not having a background behind that threw us off. I think that they started to practice now at like Grandview or something like that.
Take the credit.
Yeah, we'll take credit.
Put us in real small print at the bottom of the trophy somehow. Just
seriously.
Just for fun here, real quick before we wrap it up. Favorite teacher you guys had at West Hancock, and you won't offend anybody by not naming them, but who's a teacher that stands out to you guys?
Holly
Mrs.
Lang.
Mrs. Lang.
Mrs. Sanger, definitely Linda Sanger.
Yes,
Linda Sanger and Haugie.
Haugie.
Yeah.
I had Miss T did our
Miss T.
Did she?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's like I remember the 2 years that we were like really good and going to state. She would always talk to me like about the games because she literally knew everything about them because she was taking the books. So she was at every single game.
She still does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Guys,
so I really enjoyed her.
I work with these people now. Like it's so weird to come back
Right.
and like I had you as a teacher, but they're just such great people that they just respect you and accept you as a teacher. I mean, really.
Awesome. All right. Well, we're going to wrap it up. My next 5 podcasts coming up. I have Steve Kelly, the Nyack head wrestling coach, Nate Schreur, part 2, Josef Smith, Iowa Hawkeye football player, another former teacher, Mr. Padderud, and then Kevin Sanger and I are going to do a West Hancock football historical one. And then one I want to point out that I'm not doing till December, but I want to start preparing for now. I'm doing with 5 former, now it's going to be all 4 former, 1 current West Hancock elementary teachers, Mrs. Kitchen, Mrs. Savoy, Mrs. Hildman, who congrats to her. She is going to retire here in a couple days. So she was one of my former teachers, Mrs. McCauley and Mrs. Farrell. And I'd love to get hundreds of people sponsoring and shouting them out during that episode in December. And yeah, congrats again to Mrs. Hildman on her retirement. Kind of jealous. I just checked. I have like 21 years to go. So she's lucky. So like always, I always just give you one last chance to shout anything out, throw anything else out there that we missed or any people you want to mention. Last chance. Go ahead.
I just want to give a shout out to my mom and Brooklyn's mom for all the work they did with us when we were young, teaching us all the fundamentals in those games. Kelly, Anna, I don't know who coached your guys' teams, but the people that brought us up did a really great job, and I don't think they always got the credit they deserved. So love you guys.
I've coached 5th grade girls and 6th grade girls, and it's hard.
Yes, every Saturday tournament, packing lunches, spending almost all days at these tournaments. Yeah.
3 hours in between games usually.
Yep.
And that fun stuff.
Yeah, Paul Lushin was our coach, definitely put in a ton of time into us, coached us all the way to 8th grade. And then obviously with the junior high, my dad coached us 7th, 8th grade too. I think all the previous coaches you could name is like really instilling in us like success and pushing us and really helping us realize the talent that we had.
I tried to get your dad to do a podcast with me and he turned me down. So if you guys keep working on him a little bit, I'll get
Not
him
surprising.
Yeah. He's a pretty
work
humble
with
guy,
him.
so he used to scare me growing up. He doesn't scare me anymore. So I thought
Hey, you and me both, Dan.
yeah. And Betty, I could tell you a lot of Mrs. Mallon stories from church youth group, but
I'm sure Kelly could also tell you a few Mrs. Mallon.
This is a PG podcast, so I can't tell some youth stories, but yeah, we had a good time. So, all right, ladies, well, I appreciate you coming on here. Yeah, check it out. Here we go. Go Eagles.
Go Eagles.
Go Eagles.
No, Eagles. Eagles. You were Eagles.
Eagles.
So,
Oh, yuck.